We are going to, as usual, be crunching a few numbers today. But believe me, it will be A, eye-opening, and B, fucking well worth your time. So even though we're going to have to do a little bit of number crunching, we're going to identify what the true value and the true gain we can get, and we're going to play some games with the team. So let's get some sharing on. Let's have a look. We're going to play the incentive games. And the reason I have chosen to go with the incentive games is because a lot of people have been talking about it recently. And also I wanted to put in here the Hunger Games, a bit of a theme for the Hunger Games, because if we don't roll out incentives, if we stay the way we are, and we're going to go out on site, we're going to talk to our team, we are going to sound somewhat like a dictator. We're going to be, do it faster, get it done better. We are going to say, do more. It's got to be done within the time allowances, but we're not giving any framework or incentive for them to want to go from the 80% of output that they have. We want to squeeze that extra 20% out. We also want to make sure that as we structure this game, that we're all fighting for the common goal. We're all on the same team. So we're going to set some rules for this game, or the games, so we have a framework to play with, just to ensure that we don't roll something out that ends up with getting the guys shortcutting, lots of callbacks, potentially pissing off some clients. We want to make sure that we structure their incentives based on a data point or a margin that will encourage them to still do their best work. Just don't go from good to great is what we want to get out of our team. Sounds cool? I'll just see a thumbs up from you. We're not going to go and put thumbs up into the chat. Even I can't find the emoji sometimes. So today, guys, we are actually stepping up to one of the higher tiers. We're going to go through and pick this out of our retention plan. As I said a little bit earlier, a lot of people have been talking about this. Particularly when you're planning out your forecast, you want to know, do I need to factor in some of these incentive costs? The question there is like, yeah, you could. It's not completely compulsory. What we want to do is work out what exactly the game is first, and then we can add those numbers in. But I wanted to make sure that I explain it in full context. So my case study for today. I know I plug my own companies quite a bit. The reason I have chosen to use Build Clean for this today is because I know this works in 4 states. I know this works without having to micromanage people. And I know this works across project manager levels, so managing levels. And I know it also works across leading hands, so people that are still delivering on site. And they're the two kind of two kind of categories or job titles that I will be talking about today, the leading hands versus the project managers. You can overlay with the specific titles. If you've got an operations manager that's effectively a PM, or if you've got A grades that you call leading hands or team leaders, just swap out the terms so that it's applicable for you. Okay, a couple pieces on the Build Clean structure as well. We run open book for project managers, and that enables our project managers to operate like small business units, to think like directors. And then they are paid on a net profit scheme or a net profit program, which is something that we're going to explain today. And also our leading hands are incentivized based on gross profit because we don't want to be open book with them. So there's a little bit of kind of censorship around some of the numbers, and not everybody wants to roll open book. And for the purpose of that, I'm actually going to focus on just a gross profit incentive today. So just for the leading hands. That way we don't have to worry about that complexity of doing the open book, but the same framework still applies. And obviously we'll have this recording as well. When you do go in and you want to open up for project managers, by all means, go back through and swap those terms out, the job title terms. Okay, I get sick of talking about my own companies from time to time. So let's play a game of who can be incentivized and to what level as well. So who can be incentivized? Firstly, we are going to pick 3 core areas that people can be incentivized, that put them down. So we've got our revenue, we have got our gross profit, and we've got our net profit. And the 3 kind of core roles or 3 elements that we can identify here of who can be incentivized to that level. Revenue, really it's only people that have a contribution to that level and that cannot affect any other areas. So a perfect example of this is like our sales team can really only be incentivized on revenue because they're not out on site, they can't improve gross profit, and they don't have any say in expenses, so they can't affect net profit. When we're thinking about gross profit, who can affect that? It's our guys on site, but I'm going to drop down here leads, our leading hands, our team leaders. Those kind of guys don't have open book, but they absolutely can affect gross profit, and we can either show them the exact gross profit that we're tracking for the week or the month, or we can give them time allowances for their jobs. So we can alter this term to give them the data that they need. And then our PMs or our managers, they have an effect over everything in the company. So they can order materials, they can hustle to get the team done. Sometimes they can jump in and save the day, but nonetheless, they are responsible for the company in its entirety. And they should be incentivized on a net profit basis because they can affect everything and anything. The formula, we need to have a very simple calculation as to what kind of gains we can get out of the company by running out an incentive scheme or an incentive program. So we want to do the least amount of calculations possible. We want to make this super simple so that we don't have to worry about who prepared the data, where was the data grabbed from, and also if the people we're incentivizing don't understand the program or don't understand how it's calculated, they won't be able to buy into it. They won't really understand it, and they won't know what they're actually going to get. So in a couple moments, we're going to actually do this, but to save you the pain of watching me calculate and also try and read my hieroglyphics of handwriting, I put the numbers in today just to make things a little bit quicker. So we've got 2 tables here. Firstly, we want to work out what is the value of gross profit for the business. So we're going to grab our revenue for the past 3 months. For argument's sake, this company or this example did 600K over the past 3 months. And we're going to divide our revenue by 100 to get us what is each gross profit percentage point worth to us. So for that example, last 3 months, 600K divided by 100 gives us 6,000. Each percentage point of gross profit is worth to this example $6,000. Then for the second piece, we want to define what is the bonus pool? What are we actually going to be able to share, reward, or incentivize? We're going to set not only what is good, so what is the baseline, we want to set what would great be, and also a bit of a Hail Mary pass for exceptional. When we go and define what these gross profit points are, take our good being our forecast. This is what our team are contracted to do. This is what they're employed to do. We want to get great out of them, and we're going to set the next step. Depending on the size of your company, depending on how much gain we think we can make within our gross profit area, we'll determine whether you want to go in 2% increments, 4% increments, 10% increments. But for the purpose of keeping things nice and simple, let's just go 5% increments. For a great outcome, if we could increase gross profit by 5%, that would actually give the company an additional 30K in net profit. That would go straight to the bottom line. None of our operating expenses change. It may actually improve further because we're not paying overtime. You get the idea. Then to go exceptional, we would be stepping from 40% to 50%, so a 10% profit gain or gross profit gain. That would be worth 60,000 to the business. Can I get your thumbs up in the camera just to make sure that it all makes sense? Killer. Then 3 components, sorry. We want to work out what is the win-win scenario. What are we willing to give or willing to share? So if the guys achieve the good, if they achieve what we have forecasted to achieve, we're not going to share anything because that's what they're contracted for. If they can achieve a great gross profit or a great gain, we want to work out what would that mean to us and what would we be willing to share. Would we be going a 90-10 split where the house keeps 90 and we split up 10%? Would we be going a 50-50 split? Now, those are 2 extreme examples, and I probably wouldn't recommend either. We'd find something that's a bit safer in between. And you can also step this win-win ratio up or down as you get to exceptional as well. We just have to think here, how much of the company's profit are we really giving away? And also how much of an incentive to that person, so in dollar value to that person, how much is actually worthwhile to them. So if we've got somebody on, let's just use an example, we've got a leading hand, he's on 70,000 a year. If we go and incentivize him by $500 over the space of a quarter, it's probably not enough to move the needle. It's probably not enough to make them think about, is that worthwhile? It's probably not going to stay top of mind for them. But if it was a couple grand, that would probably be enough over the space of a quarter to keep them interested, to keep them pushing, to keep them driving the teams forward. Thumbs up if that little side quest makes sense. Killer. So then we're going to just quickly identify as well, if we're going to have those splits, then what is the percentage gain for the company? It's not the percentage gain, the dollar value gain for the company. And then what would the potential bonus pool be? Now, when we say bonus pool, that is the total amount of bonuses that we may consider giving away. We don't have to give that away or share that. This is just for us to identify what would we keep, what would we be willing to share. Okay, let's, so we've put some workings together of what potential gain we could get. Now I want to show us how this would look if we were to lay it out on a piece of paper for the team. Cue Chris with incentive contract link. Can you drop that into the chat, please? So we have this templated out for you. It is a blank template. What we are going to do right now is we are going to translate our workings into how this would look for the team members to see. Now, with this table that I'm about to show you, above this, there's going to be like the general description. This is an incentive contract. This is the general rules of or the lay of the land. And then below, it's going to have the terms and conditions of the contract, or the program, or the incentive game. And it's also going to have their acknowledgement to sign on as well. So this little table that we have here is just how to display the game itself. This is a part of the actual contract. Okay. So we want to translate some of the information from our workings above and bring it down into a bit more consolidated approach so the team can kind of digest and understand the rules of the game. First, we want to set out what is the criteria, then how much we're willing to give, or what is the incentive, and then what is the period, what is the timeline that we're working on here. So first piece, we're just going to go down our criteria, and then we're going to do the amounts, and then we're going to go over to the period. The period will probably stay the same. And we're going to write in here, if we are below, and for our example before, our baseline, our good gross profit was 40%. So if we're below 40%, the incentive program is void. They're not getting any incentive for doing the baseline, but we want to show them what that baseline is. Then the next piece down, if between 40 and 45%, then the incentive is valid. And then the second tier down, or sorry, the third tier down, if between 45 and 50%, then the incentive program is still valid. So that's their criteria to work with. That's how they know when it's on and when it's off. Then we have the opportunity to also identify what is the amount that this person is going to get. So we're going to have to think about what is the percentage gain. So how much are we actually going to earn for the company based on that area? Let's put a different color in. And also we've just thought about how much we're willing to keep and split. Now, if we're just looking at how much we're willing to split on 45% gross profit, we've said about 9K. We may be willing to split that up. This is a chance for us to now find this up and go, I have 3 leading hands. If I go and split up $9,000 with my 3 leading hands and they achieve this target, they would theoretically be able to receive $3,000 each. We've got 3 leading hands, divided by 9. We have to ask ourselves a question, is this enough to move the needle? And also, is this too much that we are starving the company? So we want to find what that range is based on the person that we're incentivizing. We would not be going and, this is an extreme example because we're not going to incentivize apprentices anyway, but we're not going to go and incentivize someone who's on 45K and pay them out $3,000 a quarter, because it's going to be almost 50% increase on their salary. So we have to kind of overlay a little bit of our common sense about how much is enough for them to think about this, to actively improve, and to also care. Does that make sense? Can I get your thumbs up in the camera? Perfect. We're going to do that for both ranges. Let's grab a highlighter. Both ranges. Obviously, the amount for the baseline is going to be 0. And then if I can grab my eraser, we may be willing to give up here $1,000, and we may be willing to give up here $2,000. Same thing. Is that enough to get the result we want? Are they going to be motivated by that? If we do not share enough of the profit, it may not be enough for them to actively think about it, to actively be involved in it. They may not give a fuck about it. If we were to say here, this is a good example, we were to say here that if they increase gross profit by 5%, we're going to give them a box of beer for the whole quarter to hold us and produce an extra $30,000 of profit for us. They're probably not going to give a shit, regardless of what level they're at, unless they're the wrong person for the company. Okay, and the final column, let's put our one back in here. The final column is our period. We want to identify for our team specifically what is the time frame for each of our incentive. So I like to run quarter because it gives us the opportunity to have big jobs and small jobs. It gives us the opportunity for large projects to be opened, potentially finished, but also if we have lots of large projects on, it gives us the opportunity to have multiple overlaps. So we're not having this super high, super low. You can run it on a monthly basis. If you have short payment terms, like 14-day or 70-day payment terms, and people are following that, you could bring this down to 30 days. But I like to base it over a quarterly period because it helps us hold our cash a little bit longer too. Now, an extra piece for this period as well, if we're going to run on quarterly, I like to say that it's calculated on quarterly and paid 30 days after. That gives us the opportunity, again, to hold that commission just for a little bit further so that we don't put ourselves into any cash flow issues. It gives us the opportunity as well for more invoices to be paid. Now, we have worked out percentage gain for the company. We worked out what we could make, what we could maximize. We've also identified who we could incentivize and how much they could get. But before we go and roll out contracts and fix ourselves into this, I want us to play a mini game. And the rules of the mini game are going to be super simple. We're going to dumb the whole thing down so that firstly, we can introduce the team to incentives so they can understand a very simple game, probably just a small cash incentive measured over a monthly basis for the next 3 months so that they can understand how to play the game. You can also have some time to refine how you're going to present the data, how often we need to present the data, whether we're going to present it monthly, is that going to be enough for them to see, whether we need to present it weekly, how are we going to show them how well they're tracking. We want them to be able to effectively bring a scoreboard or a dashboard, even if it's on the whiteboard and you just manually write it in. We want the team to start to understand where the data is going to be and start to understand how to play the game before we get into the actual incentive contract. So for our mini game, we're going to identify 2 different job roles or job areas. So leading hands and project managers. We're going to identify who we're going to incentivize. Then we're going to set out what we're going to give them, and then also how we're going to share the information with them. So we've got plenty of space to write on. I'm going to put an example in here for us as well. So we're going to incentivize leading hands. We are going to do it on a monthly basis so that we can get feedback straight away. We're going to run it out for the first 3 months. So July, August, September, that gets us to a complete quarter, enabling us to then roll out the major game for Q2 of the financial year. And then also what? We've identified how much cash gain, how much percent gain we can make for the company. What is the game that we're going to set for them here? Are we going to get to the first tier? So they're going to get to 45% is the target, and we're willing to give out $1,000 per person. Is our mini game. Same thing, if we're going to go for our project managers, we want to probably keep the target very similar, and we might incentivize them slightly more. We're going to run the same time frame, and we're going to do it over the next 3 months. This mini game is just a chance for us to not be contractually obliged to anything, but an opportunity for us to talk with the guys about how we're going to roll out a small game. It doesn't have to be cash as well. We could do BWS vouchers. We could do gifts. We could do red balloon style experiences. So we could have a little bit of a fun with this as we introduce it to the team. But it's got to be same rules do apply as above. It's got to be enough for us to, for the team members to care. Otherwise, when we test this, if we just go and give away, $50 a month, and it's not enough to scratch the sides for the person we're incentivizing, we won't get the data feedback to say that they can get the game, because they don't care about the game and they don't understand it. They may not be able to produce the games that we're after.